Hey everybody, welcome to a new edition of Nick's New Comics. I'm of course your host, Nick Battaglia, and last week there was a bunch of scheduling conflicts, so I didn't do a video last week. Also, there weren't a lot of comics in my poll last week. I only had two actually in my poll. So without further ado, let's get to what comics are going to be added to my shelf. That's actually right behind me if I can turn my hand the right way. First one is going to be Batman Eternal number 9. Now, I picked up Batman Eternal number 9 strictly because I think Batman Eternal is actually one of the most better Batman runs that DC has out right now. And my only concern about this run, though, and he even brought this up on the episode 14 of Down Nerdy with Mike Federale, was that they kind of went away from the whole Jim Gordon aspect. You know, if you go back to number 1, Jim Gordon shoots a control panel, and there's a whole bunch of people that die in the train, and so they were like, okay, so who's the mystery around that? Who kind of caused him to fire his weapon? But they kind of go away from that, and the thing is, you know, this is written by Scott Snyder, and the thing about this, though, is, okay, you should go away from the Jim Gordon aspect and the Jim Gordon angle, but you go towards this whole mob warfare thing, and it's like, okay, like, I'm still going to read the arc, of course, I think it's one of the better arcs, I think, because it sheds a nice light on some of the villains we don't really get to see a lot of, like Professor Pig, and, you know, Penguin's in there, he still has kind of a minor bit of a role. So I think that if you look at it this way, it's this. I want more of the Jim Gordon aspect. I think the thing would be more of a better story arc to say, like, okay, what's going on with Gordon? Because you have this new commissioner coming in who's, you know, very against Batman. If you read number 8, very against Batman, tries to arrest him, and the new guy that Gordon brings in, I can't think of his name right now, it escapes the top of my head, he helps Batman, so he's kind of being that Jim Gordon-esque thing. But again, it's kind of like, well, the whole thing surrounds Jim Gordon, in a sense. I mean, the second issue, for God's sakes, has him in handcuffs and on the cover, but there's nothing really mentioned. I mean, they mention him in passing and in person, but it's like, what's going on with Gordon? Like, we don't know anything. So, I don't know what's going to go on with this arc. I'm going to read it still. Like I said, it's one of my favorite arcs so far. Of all the Batman arcs, there's like 1,000 different Batman arcs pretty much to choose from. But Batman Eternal number 9, I'd pick that up at your local comic book shop. Another thing, too, is I just picked up as well is Magneto number 5. Now, Magneto, I think, is one of the better runs Marvel has going for them. I think that, and this has been said on the podcast and even in writing, that it's one of the, if you go see X-Men Days of Future Past, and you're like, well, what kind of a book can I pick up to kind of wonder, like, what happens to Magneto after that movie? Pick up Magneto, because this is a very interesting run. Like I said a couple weeks ago, it's pretty much set around, okay, he's hunting down people who are like anti-mutants and these government agencies, and pretty much, you know, the Sentinels have kind of this extremist thing where they have, you know, they have the human bodies, but they're inside their Sentinels. And I think this is a really great run. Marvel, however, I think is lacking, and I don't think they're paying much attention to their comics, but thankfully, the one comics that their comic run they're paying attention to is Magneto. And whether it's just a story is lagging, I mean, that's kind of why I might cancel Nightcrawler. And I think I said that earlier in the week. I'm like, I'm going to cancel Nightcrawler. I'm still on the fence because it's like he's my favorite X-Men, so it's kind of hard to give up on Nightcrawler. And again, with Magneto, it's a great run. The art, it's kind of like a rough kind of art, not really flashy, but that's fine. You know, it's kind of like a tungsten-esque, gunmetal-looking type of a art that's done. Not very flashy. Like, if you look at Original Sin number 0, the art in there is very detailed. Here, it's kind of more, not as shiny, kind of, you know, in a sense, more of a darker tone, I think, overall for the comics. So, again, pick up Magneto number 5. I think that it's one of the best runs, especially in Marvel's arcs and runs right now. You can go pick that up at your local comic book shops. And this one is one I also said I was going to give up on as well, but then I thought about it. I talked to Mike Federale of Taiwan Comic Con. We talked to him. We had him on the show on Wednesday, and he kind of brought me out of this whole mindset of like, okay, give this a few more issues, and it's only an 8-issue arc, and that's Original Sin. I picked up Original Sin number 3. Yep, number 3. And sorry, because you add the 0 issue in there, like, oh, there's 4 comics in, technically, but there's only 3. So anyways, Original Sin number 3, again, who shot the Watcher? We know who shot the Watcher. At least has the eye, for example, and it's the Orb. Now, it's kind of like, and that was my main thing. It's like, oh, really? It's the Orb? The Orb's the guy, the main antagonist? Well, I think there's going to be more than that after talking to Mike, and I kind of skimmed through a couple of the pages, actually, as I got home a few minutes ago. And it's pretty interesting. It's going to get, I think, pretty interesting. I'm going to keep this in my poll. Again, it's only an 8-issue arc. This book's actually kind of thick, actually. It's got the variant edition cover, which is pretty awesome, I thought. And again, it's like we know the Orb has the eye, but I think it's going to be kind of one of those things where it's going to be like people are going to be probably battling over the eye, I think. I think you might see some people turn evil. You might see some people change their ways. I don't know. I haven't read it yet. Like I said, I just got home. I just picked these comics up, and I know this is Friday, but again, scheduling conflicts, man. I work a couple jobs, so it's kind of hard to come and pick up my comics on time. But again, Original Sin, I'm interested to see how this goes. Again, hopefully it gets better in terms of story. I hope that Mike was right in the fact that the Orb isn't the main guy. Hopefully he's maybe like a henchman or second banana to somebody else in charge. You never know. So again, I'm going to read this. And then the last comic, it's not Marvel, it's not DC, it's The Wake. It's from Vertigo. This is the one that Mike Federale, our friend at the head Tidewater Comic-Con, said that James and I should try out. Now, it's kind of like this whole thing with mermen and a dystopian future, so kind of like Deep Blue Sea-esque. And one thing I've noticed in the art itself is that there's not a whole lot of color to it. It's a lot of black and white, which is fine. It's kind of drawn that dystopian kind of, hellish world type-esque. And this is the thing where he said, The Wake, it's about 8 issues in. This is, of course, Wake number 1, The Wake number 1. They're going to have a couple of books that are going to come out, too, so you can get all of them at once instead of buying just straight-up comic per comic. And I'm interested in reading this because it's different. I'm a big horror fan. The whole merman aspect, if you've seen Cabin in the Woods, the whole way they did the mermen there, it's not like they do in Disney. It's very monster-esque. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this turns out. And again, as Mike said, it's a story about how the good guys, or not the good guys lost, or a story about how, take a deep breath. It's a story about how the bad guys won, the good guys lost. Everybody's pretty much, all the good guys are living in helicarriers, do these whole mermen and everything, these monsters. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm actually interested in this read overall. So again, those are my comics for this week. That's what's going on my shelf back there, actually. Those other comics. I got some older comics as well that my mom brought up. One of them was like, what if the X-Men died in their first mission? A couple old Superman comics. And I posted this photo about, I think, last week. It's the Captain America with the Falcon disc and comic book set, which is amazing because it's the record. It has the actual record with it. The record came with it, fully stocked. Of course, I don't have a record player, so I can't listen to it. But it's kind of like a book on tape in a sense, or a book on record in a sense, kind of a thing. But a lot of older comics, as you can see, I had to buy a new bookshelf behind me because I had my comic collection starting to pick up, and my smaller one, I had other books on there, and it filled up. So, with that being said, I'm Nick, and those are my comics that were in my poll this week. Those are Nick's new comics. Next week, a lot of comics are coming out, so I'm going to have a much bigger poll and a lot more comics to review, so stay tuned for that. Also, big news, everybody, if you haven't listened to episode 14 of Down Nerdy, we are going to be at Tidewater Comic-Con. Yes, we are going to have our own table at Tidewater Comic-Con, so be sure to stop by, see James and I, sit on the show, want to be on the show? Hey, here's your chance. Come to our booth, our table at Tidewater Comic-Con on October 18th, right next to Bob Lee's table, who's from Fantasy Escape Comics and Cards. Again, big thank you to Bob for helping us set this up and everything and making this whole dream of ours come true. He's an awesome dude. Go support Bob. Go support your local comic book shops. Again, Bob's at Fantasy Escape Comics and Cards. Go support him in Virginia Beach. Also, like I said, go support your local comic book shop. So, again, and also, one thing, too, is we're going to be cosplaying. Yes, we're going to be cosplaying, so it will be hard to see our booth without we're going to have the big banner, big logo banner behind us. But I'm going to be Ryu from Street Fighter. James wants to keep his under wraps, which is fine. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how he pulls it off. but it's going to be pretty awesome. It's going to be kind of your video game guy. I'll say it this way. I'll just tease it this way. You have your video game guy, and then you have your comic book character. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see who James is going to be at the con. So with that being said, I'm Nick Battaglia. Check out next week. Down Nerdy, episode 15 is going to be next week. Also, don't forget that episode 14 is on our Facebook page, facebook.com/downnerdy. Also, hit me up on Twitter, at Nick Battaglia25, NICK, as in boy, ATTAGLIA, the number 25 on Twitter. Send me your questions. Send me what comic should I get into? What's your take on this arc? I'll answer your questions for you. But that being said, I got to get going because as you can see, I have a good amount of comics I got to start reading and get ready for next week's show. I'm actually going to review The Wake on next week's show. So stay tuned for that. You don't want to miss it. And have a good weekend, everybody.